Emmett Loughran, need I say anything more? His resume speaks for itself, and we're going to talk about his story here. On the On to Something podcast, I'm Bryan Fenley. Learn the way in which he has played the holes of the golf course that is his life. You see what we did there? So he is going to talk about his life story. We're going to talk not just about his career in television and in what he does as far as directing opera from a background perspective, but we're also going to learn about his personal side and really get to know who the man is behind the success he has had. And I'm Bryan Fenley with Fox Sports Radio and also a golf and a tennis broadcaster. And I'm excited, Emmett, to have you on, man. I've had a lot of your colleagues on. We've had a blast. So thanks so much for coming on with me and being a guest.
Hey, Bryan, it's great to chat with you and looking forward to this. I think it's great that you do this.
You work in opera. So how good is your singing voice?
I'm behind the scenes, strictly behind the scenes. So
have you ever tried to see what you can do in that department?
Probably only in the shower. So like all of us.
What is the difference between behind the scenes working in opera and then working with a orchestra of golf talent and behind the scenes folks at PGA Tour Live?
Wow. They seem like they're 180s of each other. And the good news is the golf, I've done that from being a camera guy to being a TD, and now I direct it. The opera, it came just in the entertainment world that I dabble in as well, being based out of New York. So, and that was strictly on the technical side. And that's where I still stand true to that. I'm a technical director at the Metropolitan Opera. And luckily I can direct lighting tests too, but when our main director, he's in LA, if he's not in New York, I'll direct those, gives him a scratch to work from, and then he comes up with a script, and then we all follow that.
When you look at your career just from the start into where you are now, how much has been following the script and how much has taken you by surprise?
Great question. I've always been freelance and in nearly 50 years. So you never know. Well, you have certain contracts that are long-term or multi-week, but there's that odd phone call or text of a nice concert in London that needs a crew, let's say. So, and that's the fun part of it. And obviously, I have a core group I work with the golf, but there's a core group of men and women that I've been doing the opera for 40 years. So, we're family. We've lost people through the years, but we've gone to weddings. It's a fun group in that regard. So, but luckily with the work, it's the phone rings or you get a text. Maybe it's a good project and it sounds like fun.
How can your work be viewed as something that's healing for you?
It's a great question. We all wake up in the morning not knowing what that day is going to bring. So, and at the end of the day, and we all know when we do a good job, maybe when we don't do the perfect job, let's say. So we're all human, right? So, and as a result, at the end of the day, you know if you did a good job, you feel good about it. So we're not punching a clock. We're not 9 to 5. We don't get paid for days off. So there's a bit of a challenge in that regard, but that makes it exciting and I think keeps us all fresh as well.
What does a good job look like for you?
It's everyone working hard, the team. Definitely, it's not one individual. It's everyone involved. And if it's all working together, you just feel so much better at the end of the day.
If I'm watching one of your PGA Tour Live broadcasts, how will I know that Emmett Loughran is the one directing?
I don't think you will. It's there's certain rules that have to be followed, and there's a lot of people involved to make those rules be engaged and carried out, let's say. So you could maybe have a camera guy that's not that experienced and you don't see that hole in one. So that happens. How you treat that incident, you try not to be too tough on that individual, but as a result, you just try to have a good group around you. And usually golf guys they work for all the networks. They work for us. So usually we won't be missing that hole in one. So, but you, you just know it's a good job at the end of the day when everyone's done their job.
Emmett Loughran is with me. I'm Bryan Fenley, of course. He works in opera directing and PGA Tour Live. So much experience, has multiple Emmys. I'm Bryan Fenley, Fox Sports Radio, tennis and golf broadcaster. So you yourself have had hole-in-ones. I saw that. So if you were to bring out a camera and fully capture that moment, and it's plural, if I'm not mistaken, it's not one hole-in-one. If I could go back and watch, what am I going to see? Where am I? What is the scenery like? Give us a sort of rewind of those moments for you.
Funny, the first was in 86, had a day off in Los Angeles, played with a good friend. And we played a course I hadn't played before and hit an 8-iron, and I couldn't find the ball. Went up to the green. We're looking at the deep grass behind it. My friend says, it's in the cup. It had actually landed in the cup. It ripped the cup and stayed in the cup. So he was more excited than I was, actually. So that was unbelievable. The second one happened in 1997, the early days of the Golf Channel. I was their first director, and we had a gala with Tiger, Arnie, Tom Lehman, and Davis Love on a Monday. We had an event that weekend in Pittsburgh, so we had a day off. So we played the golf course. We had caddies. It was Laurel Valley. It's a very prestigious golf course. And towards the end, I hit a 6-wood, a 6-iron, I think. 6-iron. And then it went behind a mogul or something, but the caddy thought it went in. So luckily enough, it went in. So
in a way, so these are two sort of blind shots into greens where you didn't even see where they landed, and then that
right.
must have added on to just the thrill of what you saw there, and that you figured, I don't know, not only did you not know when you got onto the green, but then how much of a level of disbelief overtook you in those moments to see that?
That's true. Well, a hole in one is a lot of luck. We all have to realize it. There's some touring professionals on the PGA Tour that don't have one. So as a result, kids hit them, and they go on the ground the whole way to a hole, and they go in. Maybe so a lot of luck involved. But I got lucky, and forever grateful.
How much of your directing skills in television golf do you find apply to you on the golf course yourself, in the way in which you size up shots, the way you play rounds, and the way in which you take on a golf course?
That's funny. It's you got to be prepared, I guess, just like you would be to play a round of golf, or to have all your cameras in the right position to cover a golf event. So discipline, and I guess ready for some hazards along the way, some balls that go out of bounds, and how you can recover directing wise from an incident, let's say, that's gone awry. Same thing with your golf game. You take your penalty, you add 2 strokes, and you hopefully hit a good shot and have a 1-putt.
How has your family been your best quote unquote caddy through this life of yours?
True, that's a great question, and you have to have a good support unit. We all travel millions of miles, of course, and you have to have a good team behind you to withstand that. So I'm blessed with 3 daughters, some grandkids, and a loving wife, my wife Ellen, and luckily she's traveled with me on some of these nice locations. But just always good to have a friend, a buddy to talk to at the end of the day, and puts it all in perspective. So it's key.
How does your wife give you strength?
Just support. Support's the best thing. She's there in the morning, make sure whether it's an apple ready to go on the train, or just making sure I have everything for an overnight trip, and the ability just to say I love you to someone. It means so much. So then I get it back in return. So hopefully you have that as well in your life.
Gratefully, I do. And, growing up, my mom sort of had to play the role of both mom and dad. When I was a
Mhm.
teenager, my dad unfortunately passed early, but you just realize the power that love has and how much we need it. And so when you look at even your
Sure.
grandchildren, by your actions, Emmett, how do you tell them you love them? Just by being around them and just seeing you with them and what that's like for you.
No, it's you can't even. You think you have maxed out all your love, let's say, for your spouse, and then you have kids, and then there's grandkids, and somehow you find all this extra love, and then you can combine it all, and there's nothing like it. So
What is nothing like your determination? Going back to when you really wanted to put yourself into this business and where that determination stems from.
it's there's a lot of people that had belief in me before I even did,
Wow.
and that people say, I think you can do this job, because I was just a simple camera guy doing the sports scene in New York. And then they said, I think you could maybe TD or work inside the truck, which very scary proposition. So determination I now have is from the people that had belief in me. And I really love to mentor younger cameramen that are on my shows, because you can see they're not confident, but I've been in their sneakers, let's say. I know it's not that easy, and just give it 100%, and then they'll get feedback, good feedback, and then that strengthens their resolve to make their career a solid future too.
What can they say to you that makes your mentoring to them so meaningful?
I've seen cable pullers I've had that have graduated to CBS handheld camera guys. So, and there's a hug when I see them. We have great memories, and I've seen them grow up, and that's very satisfying. And it's the same thing that people did for me nearly 50 years ago. Just give me opportunities. So um, I enjoy that. It's priceless. It really is.
And how do you show those who believed in you before you believed in yourself how thankful you are for them and by your actions and by how you've
Yeah,
taken their lead?
definitely. Constantly keep in touch with people that are probably now retired, but I love recalling great stories, events that we all had together, and hopefully both of us remember what those stories are. And just a lot of good memories, a lot of inside jokes that we can still recall and have fun. And yeah, it's great.
What is the most fun part of putting on a broadcast?
It's so much people working so hard together. Whether it's opera, it's the lighting people, the stage people, the stage hands, in conjunction with us and the camera angles that we have, and the people, the shot numbers, everything that involves. And just like golf, it's the people that lay the cable down 10 days before the event starts, and the ropes are up, the towers are built, and everything coming together. And on a Thursday morning at 7:01, that first tee time, you're ready to go.
How often do you allow yourself to reflect?
A lot. I do. I don't work as much on purpose as I've gotten older. So versus the other times, be it red eye to work for another producer, the things you do to establish a career. So, but now I definitely have a lot more time and space between jobs, and get to play golf and relax. And
What is the best, not hole, but the best round of golf you've ever played?
wow, I broke par once, so I haven't been close to that in a long time. So um, I always like to get at least one birdie for 18 holes. That's a goal, but obviously I don't play 3 times a week. The short game, all that deserves more attention, but I enjoy it. Don't even have to keep score. Just know it's a good round, and nothing like, a good round of golf. So,
And nothing like a good round of golf and seeing that you direct it. Emmett Loughran is with me. I'm Bryan Fenley. When did that moment come when you believe in yourself? That you finally confirmed within yourself what others saw in you before you did? When did that time come across for you?
wow. Back in the mid 90s, that's when I was TDing a lot of golf. And I was actually working for the Europeans in Wales. And the week before, they had the British Open, which turns out I TD'd that. But the second week, I went to Wales working for the Europeans, and walking through the compound were some producers I knew from HBO boxing and tennis that walked through. It turns out they were already staffed at the Golf Channel, and they were making their deals with the European Tour. And I said, Mike, what are you doing here? And, we got to chat. And then a few months later, Mike called me and hired me to become the first director for the Golf Channel. And just those were the great days, because we're going to golf courses that were happy to have TV. They never had television, let's say. And we did 30 tournaments. That meant 30 separate trips to survey every event. And it was very satisfying at the end of the year that it all had come together. Again, everyone working together. So
Emmett Loughran is with me. I'm Bryan Fenley. To sort of wrap up this conversation, and I'm curious to know how surprised you were with some of these questions, but I really think that just getting to know you on a deep level is so endearing. And I think a lot of people will really appreciate that, because you've impacted a lot of people over the course of your career at different stages. The mentoring that you've had on others, the work that you have put in. What have you not done yet that you want to do?
hmm, another great question by you, Brian.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
I'm happy, with I've worked with a lot of entertainment directors and people in that business, with the golf, sports, hockey night in Canada people, as far as Stanley Cups and Olympics, done award shows. I've been lucky enough to walk up and grab an Emmy in LA a few times. So I'm good, really am. So I can just continue doing what I want to do at the quality level that the bosses that hire me hopefully still think I have it, then that's good. So
Good on that front. Good on you for that family you have, and how fun it must be to be around them, and cherish every moment, even with those grandkids. And I look forward to hearing about them on the golf course with you. And it probably won't be long until they maybe beat you on the golf course. No, I don't know. It'll be, those are going to be fun experiences if they haven't happened already. Emmett Loughran, I'm Bryan Fenley. Emmett, thanks so much for doing this. This was really fun.
tremendous, Brian, and all the best with you and your career as well.